Let's go that route. Yes. All right.
Mercer cookies today. Does anybody need a paper towel?
Okay. Guys got both hands up.
Touchdown.
Okay, great. Good morning, everybody. Today is April 24th. It's Monday, 2023. The time is 9:05 a.m. I'm going to call this special called meeting of the B County Commissioners Court to order. We are physically located at B County Courthouse, Commissioners Courtroom number 110, 105 West Corpus Christi Street, Beeville, Texas 78102. That was the call to order. Would everybody please stand and join Commissioner Lenny in a brief prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today. We give you thanks for allowing us to wake up and enjoy another day, dear God. We ask that we thank you for the rain that was much needed. Thank you for that. We ask that you be with us and everything that we do, be with this court and all the decisions that we come to, dear Lord, for the betterment of the county as a whole, and watch over each and every one of us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Commissioner. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas Pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Yeah, no, I didn't. You caught me. Sorry, I got caught. I stumbled a little bit on indivisible.
It wasn't bad.
I started to say indubitably. I don't know what's going on. I've got a serious mental block. The confluence of the two pledges are always running around in my mind, and they're on my lips and on my tongue at all times, and sometimes they get intertwined. But I think that's enough of that. Moving on to agenda item number 4, recognition of visitors. We have a few visitors today. This is the moment in time where I say welcome. Thank you for being here. If anybody would like to identify themselves, for the record, you're more than welcome to do so at this time, but there is no compunction or don't feel that there is an obligation for you to do so. And if you do want to make a public comment, that's a different agenda item. Is there anybody who'd like to identify themselves for the record this morning? Thank you all so much for being here. And we'll move on to agenda item number 5, Commissioners Court opening remarks. Commissioner Lenny, I think you go first this time?
Yes, sir.
Let's roll.
Fairly quiet. I got a call from Commissioner Olivares. Thank you for that. Had a call off of Oak Lane about some of the potholes in the roadway. Got with Ray on that. He went and looked at it. Thank you, Ray. Still with TxDOT on the big mesquite tree that's right there. They still need to try to get that out. Also, I'm still in contact with Vicente on the 673, 351 intersection. Had a few pickups on illegal dumping, not many this last couple of weeks. Went out Thursday out to San Pedro Cemetery. I knew that they were going to have Dan Adamez's burial out there on Saturday, so went out there, the cemetery. The last time we cleaned it was January the 7th, and it had grown up and was in dire need, and I did not want the family or anyone else that was going to be out there Saturday to have to look at that, much less walk through that and park in the grass that was 2 foot tall and higher, you know. So went out there, Patty Johnson, Robert Casares, and there was another guy, Robert, that wanted a name anonymous. We went out there Friday afternoon and got all that cleaned up, so it was very much appreciated by everyone that was out there Saturday. Other than that, that's really about it. It was, like I said, it's been fairly quiet. So I'm sure, you know, once you say that, you jinx yourself, and the next couple of weeks will probably be crazy, but that's okay too. So with that, I will pass to my left.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it. Just a reminder to everybody that you may be saying, hey, when are they going to start mowing? We're still waiting for the flowers to completely dry up on the seeds and get seeded out. Mowing will come pretty soon. Right now, the right-of-ways are pretty damp, thank goodness. North end of the Bee County, we had between 1.1 and 1.3 inches of rain. I understand they had more than that in the south end, 1.5 or 1.6, so very well needed. I know that the corn down around Tynan really needed that rain. Remind everybody, today is election day. There's not much on the ballot. I think there is a for school board, and then there's also a proposal for a bond issue in the Pawnee School District, and all the voting is done across the street at the elections office. And they're very busy today. It's 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and I think it's 7 to 7 on Saturday. But vote. Today's the day. I want to give a shout out to Road and Bridge. I had a call yesterday about a tree down. We had quite a bit of wind in the mineral area between Mineral and Pettus. It blew a big hackberry down on a fence, on a high fence, and it was huge. It was probably this big around, and it was dead, but it blew, when it blew over, it went on the fence. I happened to be up in the area, if you will, looking at some county roads, and went by, and I had contacted Road and Bridge Administrator, Mr. Gonzalez. I was already in the area, and I looked behind me, and a Road and Bridge vehicle was behind me going to the scene. They were on site within 15 minutes of my phone call. They got it cleaned up. The landowner came down and was talking to us, and they got it cleaned up yesterday afternoon. And a big shout out to Road and Bridge. You folks are on the ball. It had blocked the road. Where it fell, the road was actually blocked, but it was huge. They had to get a backhoe to remove it, had to cut it up, and I'm sure they'll haul it off when they can. But I can't express enough appreciation for all the things that our Road and Bridge people do. This was Sunday. Mr. Gonzalez told me, he said, I have a crew on standby for things like that. He said, I'll get in touch with them. He did, and they beat me to the scene. They almost beat me to the scene, and I was already there. So thank you very much. Another thing, I was contacted by a landowner on on Farm to Market 673, going towards Pawnee. Quite a bit of erosion under a fence in his area off 673. I referred him to Vicente with TxDOT to get in touch with them and see what they can do. So, Judge, with that, I know this is uncharacteristic for me, but I am through with my talk.
Thank you, Commissioner, but we will hold the time in case you come up with something
I appreciate that. I'll come up with something later.
No, we're not going to hold you to that. Commissioner,
Just mentioning the weather lately, it's going to snow today.
Had a busy 2 weeks. The first one was I was selected to be in part of the Commissioner's Court Leadership Academy, and that entailed going to Austin for 3 days. And in that time, I got to meet with our Representative James Lozano, Senator Morgan Lamantia, Mark Williams, the Director of TxDOT, and Noe Barros from the TAC, and got a lot of good information, but also keeping JM and Senator Lamantia with B County on their radar, make sure that we're not forgotten. So that was, I couldn't wait to get back from the Capitol. That was easy. I got to sit in on one of the hearings there, and that is unreal how they hold those hearings and testify, 3 minutes at a time and go up, and when they're going up against it. There's a lot of money up there right now, so the retired teachers were up there in numbers, 4,000 red shirts out there trying to get some additional money, so that was pretty exciting to see. We have a interim executive director at the BDA, is Mr. Frank Dominguez. Mr. Arizola has moved on and pursued another job, so he's going to take over until we get another director hired and take over the duties. He used to be our mayor here, so he started this past week, 3 days, and this is his first full week going on there. So we'll keep you posted. I'll have him in here in court, on the next court, to give us an update on what's going on out there. It's very busy. NEO is really moving forward with their project for the rechroming outfit out there. So they're doing a whole bunch. So is the fire equipment. It's moving on quite a bit. We have a salary committee coming up on May the 10th. This will be our second one, and that's coming up in another week. Let me see. The tax assessor collector's office intercom system went out, so there is no drive-through. They're currently addressing if somebody can't get out of their vehicle, you call up there and they'll go out to your car and take care of your needs if you're handicapped or can't come out. And we're currently getting bids to get that replaced. That was probably an original piece that was put in there when we got that building. Really? I got a meeting tomorrow with AED, Mr. Mercer, and the electrician from the generator here for the courthouse. And that's going to be at the AEP office at 3 o'clock. See if we can work the bugs out of that. Hit a few snags last week. There was just miscommunication between the electrician and Mr. Mercer.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to get all the players on at the same table and go over that item. And with that, I'll pass to Commissioner Olivares.
Good, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I think today must be Ray Gonzalez Day because I also want to recognize Ray for his quick response for a tree that fell on a county road that had impacted school buses. So I was contacted by Skidmore ISD, and Ray took immediate action. I mean, he was there, within minutes once we found out the tree was down. So also I'd like to recognize Dolores for stepping in to support Candy while she's out, and I think that's a big role that she's playing there. So thank you, Dolores. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate all the help and support. I guess on some general information, tomorrow I'll be having a meeting and a site tour of our hospital. I'll be meeting with Michael Pettis, and just to kind of get an overview of what his goals are, which are pretty good because he is looking to get new doctors to come into the V County, so that'll be good. Also, he's looking to do a presentation to the court, and I'll try and identify what dates he wants to come by to do that. Also attended a kickoff meeting, which was good for me to understand how contracts get managed within a county. It was with Mr. Mercer and Matthews Electric. I was able to participate in their kickoff meeting, and then part of that, there was some questions that came up about the contract. I guess the good thing with that is that the contractor took no exceptions to the lengthy bid package. So it's going to be interesting to see how he follows through and completes and meets all those deliverables in that contract. So they didn't have any questions about it, so it's going to be interesting to see can they meet those targets. So that'll be good. Also got to participate in another meeting with Mr. Mercer and Michelle Mattis at the tax renovation, so I got to get a little bit overview. So thanks for Samuel letting me be aware of that. Just to participate, I want to understand how these contracts work. So which is big for me. In Tynan, I conducted a site visit at the co-op. The drainage is working well. Ray, thank you for your support. TxDOT, thank you as well. Got a lot of calls from the local residents, and they're happy that we now have drainage. So we eliminated a big safety issue that's been there for quite a long time. There was a question in one of the courts about whether the hydrocyclones were needed for the Tynan water. I spoke to them, and they're still in need of that. So from what I understand, I think they just need to order them. Is that correct? Okay.
It was approved by the court
So
weeks ago.
Okay.
Months
ago.
Yeah.
They gave,
and they
I don't want to get into
I know,
stuff.
That's okay. Yeah. So they have they can go ahead and place
It
the
has
order.
been approved, yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we also, I met with some residents there and did a little brainstorming and to do an effort on how we can clean up the utility easements, which is still a big question on mine. I need to understand who actually owns the easements. I understand that maybe utility companies. I'm not sure. That was an action item from last week, and still on my action item to understand who actually has control of those easements. And I know Precinct 4 is not the only one with easements, and I'm sure they're all over. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. I want to work on. Also, in Skidmore, was able to meet with Steve Batchelor, and we talked to Ray. He needed some help of some drainage problems. It's been there a while, so Ray's on top of that again. Like I said, I think today is Ray's day, so thank you, Ray, for responding quickly to meeting the school's needs. The other thing that, in talking to Steve, and I'm going to meet with Mr. Showalter after, there's some tourniquets. I think they call it Stop the Bleed that I'd like to come up to speed on, and don't know where we are with the process of getting some tourniquets for the school, which I think it's a good deal to do. So apparently that action was submitted like last year, so there's approximately about 820 students. So I'm going to get with Mr. Showalter later to talk about the impact of that. Ray and I conducted a meeting with Mr. Pedro Torres, who lives at the intersection of 359 and 189. That particular intersection, they have a lot of accidents that are occurring there, and most of those accidents actually wound up in his yard. Now, his house was there before the intersection got built. I'm trying to obtain information how many wrecks or how many accidents, so I'm going to have to do an open records request with the Sheriff's Department to see which accidents are there, plus also with the DPS and do the same thing there. So I don't know if those databases are connected or not, but it'll be interesting to see how many accidents, how many fatalities. I know they had some fatalities, but how many I don't know. But to see what can possibly be done from a safety aspect to help alleviate some of those accidents at that intersection. Commissioner, thanks for recognizing that. I did call you. I did receive a call from Precinct 1 from a gentleman, and quickly deferred him over to Commissioner Lenny so he could take action on that. As also an update, AEP is going to be doing some additional modifications to the substation there in Skidmore. So they're going to be making some road modifications to some of the existing roads. Again, pull Ray back in to make sure that everything was being done properly, and we had a good impromptu meeting with the contractor that's going to be doing the work. So, Ray, thanks again for your time, for taking my call. In Papaloti, I had a meeting, telephone conference here with Linda Clevenger, who's one of the paramedics in the area, and her concern was, she wanted to understand the status of any event of an emergency, how they're going to get across that low water crossing, and we have a grant in place, so she was trying to understand it. But her emphasis is that herself, which she's a paramedic, and then also other first responders and firefighters are on that side of the Silver Creek, and she got into a little bit more discussion on challenges they have, and when it does rain and the water does rise, them getting across. They managed to do it, but it's not an easy task. So, great conversation with her. Also, again, Ray, we had a call from the Papaloti Fire Department that was in need. They added an extension building thanks to the money that we were able to get to them, but they just needed some touch up on the driveway, so that was done. Great job. Also, I would like to thank everyone that participated in the Papaloti Annual Cook-Off. Great event. A lot of people were there. Don't know what they wound up making that day, but a lot of people were there, and it looked like a lot of fun. I was there, and good turnout. So everyone that attended and participated and donated, thank you very much. Fire department is definitely in need of a lot of those funds. So thank you. Sure. And that's it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Olivares.
Judge, if I may, Commissioner Olivares, you might want to maybe reach out to Gabriel Alamani Angel Care about the tourniquets and see what sources he has.
Okay, who was that again?
Gabriel Alamani with Angel Care.
Judge Winmore.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, so a couple of weeks ago, Commissioner Freitas and I were going to be transitioning the role that he was supporting the Sheriff's Office. Now a lot of that requirements or anything that's happening there is going to be shifted over. He was trying to finalize a couple of projects that were ongoing, so you might want to add to that.
They're out there today. Today's Monday the 24th, and they're analyzing what they need to do. They're going to do the control setup tomorrow. I believe they got with Chief already to get the controls, because that's what they sent me the email on. And then there's a site walk with HMG at 12 o'clock on the 26th. And after that, they're going to be, Texas Air will announce the completion date, and then they'll do their walkthrough with our engineer, Mr. Bill Harris.
Thank you.
So,
this is in relation to the
SO
HVAC
update,
issues.
HVAC issues. Still going on. That's all.
Anything else, Commissioner DeWitt? Everybody else has come back.
I've got enough here that it'll take probably an hour. I don't want to interrupt anything.
Well, okay. You're reserving your
I'm reserving my time.
time
Thank you very much. I
for
appreciate
agenda
it.
items.
Yes, sir.
All right, and we look forward to that. Okay, moving on. I'll make no opening remarks. Moving on to public comment. Do we have any individuals in the public that would like to address Commissioner's Court? Yes, yes, come on forward, y'all.
Brandon Julick from the B County AgriLife Extension Office. I have Mr. Randy Showers here as well from the B County AgriLife Extension Office.
Hello.
Good morning.
With that said, we have a volunteer appreciation night coming up tonight at the fairgrounds underneath the pavilion. You want to tell us more about it, Randy?
Sure. So last week was National Volunteer Week. And we just want to say, the kids and I, the 4-H kids, Landon and myself, just want to say thank you to everyone that's involved in making 4-H in B County possible, from anything, I mean, really. And so we know y'all are a huge part of it. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without money, and we want to say thank you for that. And John's out there, and he really busts his tail to make sure that everything is in place for us, and he's done a lot for us, so we want to extend the invitation to him, and really anyone that's had the smallest or biggest part in 4-H in B County, we want to extend the invitation to. And it is a free pancake dinner. The kids will be cooking. Lennon will have a hairnet on. He'll be cooking. And we're just excited. We want to see everybody. The kids are excited to see y'all and meet some of y'all. And yeah, we hope y'all can make it. And we also have been, we want to give a little update on the kids as far as what they've been doing. Lennon and I took some kids to a district competition last week called Spring Spectacular. That was held in Victoria. We are District 11. And so, so that's a lot. We took, I don't know how many total kids, but all of our kids did amazing. We have quite a few going to state. So Janessa Healy placed first. She'll be going to state first and 10th. Clara Rosnowski placed second in beef education presentation, and she'll be going to state. State is held at Roundup in College Station in June. Devin Rios placed second in educational presentation and 8th in public speaking, so she'll be going to state. Caleb McMullen placed first in poetry and prose, and he'll be going to state. Lila McFall placed first in vocal, no instruments, so she'll be going to state. Where's the other one? Samantha Butler placed first in public speaking, so she'll be going to state. And then our intermediate division, unfortunately, they don't get to go to state, but they still did really great. So Briley Perkins placed 4th in beef education presentation. Julia McFall placed 3rd in vocal. Adriana Mendez, 2nd in vocal. Oliver Butler placed 6th in public speaking. Briley Perkins and Leah Rosnowski, they were a team vocal. They did well. Briley Perkins, Leah Rosnowski, Lindsay Bush, and Tinley Perkins had a quiz bowl team, and they placed 4th. Levi Rosnowski, John Hinkle, Braden Hinkle, and Zach Huey placed 5th in livestock quiz bowl. In the junior division, Ava Butler placed in the musical instruments. So I just want to make sure those kids are recognized. They have practice and they work really hard. So.
And this past weekend on Saturday, we took a group of kids up to College Station for the District 11 lifestyle judging contest. We took a total of 5 individuals up there. We had an intermediate team and 2 juniors, that's 3rd through 5th grade judging as individuals. We didn't have enough juniors for a team. But the intermediate team did very well. They ended up placing 7th overall. And one of the individuals won high point overall, actually won the entire contest, and that was Haley Rodriguez. She was high point individual. She was 2nd place in the lamb division, 2nd place in the beef division, and 2nd place in the overall oral reasons, because you have to place the class and you have to get in front of the judges and explain your placing and why you place those animals that way. So it's teaching kids to get in front of people and present and communicate themselves well and to stand by their decisions, right? You know, be confident. In the junior division, Cooper Matheson, he placed 5th overall out of like 40-something individuals, so he did very good there. And he did 5th overall in the lamb and goat division, so he did quite good there. And Tinley Perkins, for her first contest, 3rd grader, she did very well. She ended up getting, 22nd place out of those 40-something individuals. So we're all very proud of them. It was a long day. We had to be at the barn at 6:45 in the morning, and we didn't get out of there till 5. So, but nothing but fun, right?
Oh, Briley.
Oh yeah, and Briley, she did very well. She got 5th overall in the beef division. So she got 3 classes perfectly correct, and then she got 48 in the heifer class, and then she did very well in the beef oral reason. So very proud of everybody.
Thank you all so much for your time.
Well, thank you both.
Great update.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing those names, and good luck to Ms. Healy, Ms. Rodnowski, Ms. Butler, Ms. Rios, Ms. McFall, and Mr. McMullen on their competitions at state. When is the state competition?
It's first week of June. We're leaving Tuesday, which is what, June the 4th? 7th.
I think this is 8th through the 10th are the actual competition days.
Okay, well, please come back and let us know how the kiddos did. Thank y'all for everything you do for the community. Anybody else would like to make a public comment? Moving on, agenda item number 7. The following items are of an administrative nature. Commissioner's Court has been furnished documentation on each item, and all such items may be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a commissioner or county judge.
Move to approve with several comments.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, you have the floor.
Yes, sir. I just want to call everybody's attention to the general fund comparison of revenue. Increase is $1,317,000 over last year, which is always a good thing when it's positive like that. I'm sure the auditor may have more information on that. Then I look at our tax pool historical monthly average. It's up to 4.59%. We have several $1 million that are invested, but I have a question. We have tax pool investments is making 4.61, and we have a Robert Baird 1.63, Simmons Bank 4.74, but we have most of our money in Robert Baird, which is the lower interest, but I understand totally the rest of the story. Safety and security of our funds is paramount. You can chase high interest rates and get a couple of months of high interest rates and then get a notice in the mail, hey, we lost all your money. So I appreciate exactly what we're doing. I just want to call everybody's attention that the interest rates are going up. We're guaranteed 1.63, and we know the money's going to be there. So that is noticed.
And it is gone up, and then that was, last quarter,
Right.
so yes, it
Yes,
is.
but it is
yes.
noticed, and we have to preserve our revenue. We can't just throw it out there and try to make a lot of money. And that's basically my comments, Judge. I just noticed those things to let everybody know that we are watching how that is, and I'm sure the auditor has some comments.
Well, first I want to do change of status. We have a Robert Reyes from Emergency Management, and I just want to clarify that effective date is April 11th, 2023. That month was left off of that one. And for my change of status, the effective date should be April 11th, 2023. It had April 10th, so I would like to correct that for the record. And as far as financial statements, we are doing wonderful, and thank you for bringing the interest rate up, Commissioner, because our interest rate, and we do have a large amount of money in our bank, in our local bank, and we are receiving a top dollar of interest rate in there. We have we're 45% over our approved revenue budget. So that's wonderful. That's great. But yes, with our investments in Robert Baird, of course they're on staggered rates. So yes, yes sir. So we are always looking at that. Our revenues are doing wonderful. We are on track, as our expenditures are. Is there any additional questions?
That's all the departmental reports were in, that's commendable.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was usually somebody behind, but hey, all the departments did really good by getting all the reports in.
And let me
Yes, we
add
appreciate
to
that.
Several years ago, and I'm not sure how many on the court now were here then, we had departmental reports that were several months behind. Months, like 3, 4, 5, 6 months behind. And I have to echo what Commissioner Farias is saying. They're getting them in on time, they're accurate. I don't know what the reason was back then, but that reason is no longer here. And they're getting on time, and whoever is making sure they do that, thank you very much, whether it's the auditor's office.
Well, yes, Anna, and she keeps on it because our comptroller reports, which are quarterly, if there's somebody staggering, and we got into that, like you're mentioning.
Yes, we did. It was interesting.
Yes, and
We'll
so
leave it at that.
we have not been in those weeds anymore. She makes sure she sends out friendly reminders prior to keep everybody
Good.
on track, and it works. It's
Because there were
working.
chiggers in those weeds when we got into them, and they bit us.
Yep, yes, sir.
Anything further? All right, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on, discuss and consider action on the following items. Agenda item number 8, approved modified regional public defender contract between B County and Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, Inc., TRLA, to include the updated amount reflecting the removal of Refugio and Willacy County from the contract. This is a housekeeping matter.
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Agenda item number 9, approved memorandum of understanding with the Texas Department of Emergency Management for use of the B County Emergency Management Coordinator's Office.
Move to approve with suggestion.
Certainly. I've got a motion and a second. Commissioner DeWitt, you have the floor.
Judge, looking at this contract, the office at 111 South St. Mary's is up where in the Justice Center. That, if anybody's been in there lately, it's very small. There's not really, in my opinion, room for 3 people, but 3 people can work out of there. But I would like to add an additional location in the Community Affairs Office, 210 East Corpus Christi Street. I've spoken to Robbie. There's more than enough room with a desk in this as an alternate in case something comes up and they can't use that facility. There may be a murder trial going on. The district attorney has got it locked down for whatever reason, because we're dealing with a state employee now, not a county employee.
Mm-hmm.
And their access to that building is restricted where it wasn't before.
Mm-hmm.
And Community Affairs is not as restricted down there on 210 East Corpus Christi. And my suggestion is only just to add another location where if something comes up, it's already approved and they can just go down there.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. On that, I don't have that. I think that's a fine idea. This matter, just for the court's edification, the public, this matter had come up several months ago. I met with Mr. Barney, Gary Barney, who's a regional Texas Department of Emergency Management guy, and God, I don't know what his title is. He's incredibly important to us, and he's a great friend to B County, and his title is not emergency management guy. So he was a wonderful friend to B County, and I'm sure now he no longer is. No, he's a great guy, but he did bring this by, and at that time I had reached out to the district attorney because my initial concern was that discrepancy as state employee having access, because our emergency management facility is physically located within our district attorney's offices. And at that time he stated he had no issues with it, which I was relieved, because I wasn't quite as confident that there wouldn't be a bigger issue with respect to that. I believe you have the motion. Are you
Yes, sir.
consider amending your motion?
Yes, sir. I would like to amend that motion to add on that whereas statement the location also at 210 East Corpus Christi Street, Community Affairs Building, as an alternative, if the court would agree with that.
I have an amended motion. Commissioner Linney, you have the second.
I will amend my second to reflect his amended motion.
I have an amended motion, an amended second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Just in case.
All right, agenda item number 10, approved letter of support for the Upskill Coastal Bend Partnership with Education to Employment Partners. This is exactly what it says it is. What you got, Commissioner?
I'm trying to figure out how to make a motion because I don't agree with what we're doing here. Make a motion to table.
A motion to table?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've got a motion to
And get a second and
table.
I'll explain.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Give your
I've
explanation.
got a
Okay.
motion and a second.
The reason, and I understand this is tied into what I brought to the court before, but I don't have a clue who this lady is out of Bryan. And we've received a letter that they want us to sign that when you read the letter, in my opinion, it could have been worded quite a bit better. I think we ought to wait, in my opinion, to see what we get from this organization before we start wholesale approving. We're really behind you guys. You're doing a great job. They haven't done, right now, they haven't done anything for B County. I know Randy Sykes is working with them, but I haven't seen any production. We had a PhD come and give us a lot of good information. This letter was not written by a PhD.
Maybe I can, so this is more of a housekeeping, I had intended this to be more of a housekeeping matter.
Okay.
The request to send in this letter of support is something that Ms. Afuso, who is a Regional Disaster Recovery Manager for Coastal Bend Council of Governments, had reached out to the county to seek support on. E2E is applying for a grant that will fund 40% of the salaries for a navigator in our county through 2026. So that's the additional
Behind the
context.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ms. Afuso reached out and said,
Okay.
we're looking for letters of support to try to get this grant with this entity, which you know and you brought to the court,
Exactly.
is working in our region. And that's the sole purpose of the letter of support, is to support upskills efforts in obtaining a grant from E2E to fund its operations.
I hereby withdraw my motion, sir.
Okay, I'm sorry,
No, that's okay.
I didn't put that in the,
I didn't know where this came from.
yeah, the context, yeah.
I withdraw my motion, have a second motion.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I withdraw the second.
My second motion is to approve this with authority to the judge to tweak this letter as he feels appropriate to make it more
Specific.
appealing. More specific, yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. Agenda item number 11, approved lease agreement between B County and Upbring Head Start for commercial land located at 300 South 6th Street, Skidmore, Texas.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? We've done this with Upbring now for how many years?
A long
We
time.
moved them down. They,
Used to be BCAA, now it's Upbring, or Head Start.
Many years. Is this, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
yes.
just feel like it was just in court not too.
Mhm.
it was. In government, time goes awful fast. It really does.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, agenda item number 12, approve, analyze, and recommend minimum yearly full-time B County employee salary. This is going to require discussion and a presentation, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Commissioner DeWitt at this time. Commissioner, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Judge, and I know we need a motion and a second to start discussing, so I'm going to make a motion to approve a minimum yearly salary of $30,000 for full-time B County employees.
Second.
I have a motion
Thank
and
you
a
for a
second.
second. Gentlemen?
Further discussion? Please
Yes.
proceed.
I have quite a bit here, and y'all bear with me. I've been thinking about this for several years, and I've mentioned it more than once. What happens, and I appreciate the salary committee and what they do, but what happens sometimes, you get too deep in the forest and you can't see the trees. And looking at county salaries, and I've been asked more than once, where did I come up with the number 2080 for how many work hours in a work year? And let me explain that. It's simpler than you think. There's 52 weeks in a year. There's 40 hours work week in a week. 52 times 40 is 2080. That's where you get it. So if you take your yearly salary divided by 2080, that's how much you're making a month. But when I did that on some of these county salaries, they're making $12.60 an hour. Now, that's not very much money in today's times. And I did a comparison, and you can do the same thing I did. I got on Google, I looked at Starbucks, I looked at Golden Chick, Whataburger, Kentucky Fried Chicken. $13 an hour, $12.40 an hour, $14 an hour, $12.17 an hour. They're making the same or more than our folks. There's 32 people, and I know y'all looked at this, but let me pass out these salaries again, just in case you want to look at them in person. I asked Human Resources to give me a list of all the county employees that made less than $30,000. There's 32 of them. Now, included in that list were the 4 constables, 4 elected officials, and the 2 folks at the Agricultural Extension Office. For reasons because they're elected officials and because these folks are also state employees, I excluded them from my analysis. I excluded them. So there's 32 that make less than $30,000. Of those 32, we have 9 that make $26,208. That's $12.60. These are full-time county dedicated employees that come to work, and they're here. Bear with me here a minute. HR did a great job. The total to move all, including the elected officials, was $184,992. When I deducted the 4 elected officials, that was $91,000. I deducted 2 ag officials, that was $27,000. To move these people to a $30,000 minimum yearly salary is $65,850. $65,850 will get these folks to $30,000. For some, it's a substantial amount. For others, it's $185, but it gets them to $30,000. Okay, the next question you're going to say, okay, what about the fringe? Well, in my previous career, we estimated fringe at 28%. So that's going to add another $18,400. So total estimated is $84,288. I think that we need to look at this, and what I'm trying to do, honestly, is get this approved to go into the budget. The next question is going to be, okay, if we move these to $30,000, what about those people making $30,500? Well, that's where your salary, in my opinion, the salary committee comes in, is to figure out that adjustment on that other side. But these people need help. You stop and think about it. They're making $12.60 an hour. They got to buy groceries just like we do. They got to buy gasoline. They have insurance. I just got my new home insurance and property insurance bills for the next 6 months, and they went up $200. I don't know whether y'all have gotten one lately or not, but these folks have got the same problem. It's our responsibility to see this and look at it. I've been looking at it, and I'm open for questions, discussion, or whatever we need to do to see if we can move this forward, gentlemen. I think it's very important.
Yeah, well, I'll start. I really appreciate you bringing it to the court's attention, and the work that you've done on it. I can tell you my position right now is I'm not in favor of the motion, only because I really would prefer to follow the process that we normally deal with, and I don't know what, as your budget officer, I don't know what my budget is going to be looking like at the front end, and to tie my hands like this, it's just not something I'm personally, if the 4 of you, if 3 of the 4 of you are in support of it, that's fine. There's nothing, I think it's a great idea. Aspirationally, I'd love to pay everybody more. But in practicality, I just don't know. And you know, as you all know, my time as y'all's budget officer has been pretty short. Gone through 3 cycles, and every time there's been an unhappy surprise, and it has really constrained my ability. And I'm taking all the credit for all of April's work. So I recognize that, but it is, and our work, because again, the budget process is not unilateral, it is collaborative. But I would prefer to have flexibility to deal with this, rather than to have it be a firm decision at this time. That's just my personal opinion. As far as the substance of the position, I couldn't agree with you more. That's it.
I would rather wait to see what's going to happen. There's too many unknowns. Budget's coming up here in a couple of months. We would certainly look at that in the salary committee. Right now, we're highlighting the sheriff's office right now, since they're so far behind. We're so short. Stacy's bringing us some material, and Jennifer's leading the committee, and we're going to be discussing that. So I would rather wait on this. That's where I stand.
Commissioner, thank you for bringing this information up. And just to be clear, I am 100% support of getting all county employees pay raises. I do believe that they're low, and I think the efforts in doing it should be recognized for doing that. And they do need to get brought up. But there is some other information I think that's also important to consider, you know, is what's going to be the overall total budget. I think also, and thanks for bringing that up about, you said it was roughly about 28% of fringe benefits.
Right.
It'd be good to know for B County if that is the number, you know, because typically it's been around 25 to 30%. So, you know, trying to look at the total cost of ownership, what this thing's really going to cost. But I am definitely supportive of that. The other thing I think should be considered is, you know, when you're raising one sector, these only 32 people, there's another morale issue that comes up for the person that's at 30,005, as you explained earlier. You know, he may have some additional credentials, some certifications, some more things that kind of, you know, he's done that for a reason so that he could actually move up within the system. And now someone else that doesn't have these credentials is going to be almost as equal. I think he might get a little bit upset. I know I would be, you know, and I've been there before when those kind of things happen. So all I'm trying to say is that there needs to be a much broader look on how this is done. But I am totally in agreement with you that we need to get these lower rates up, you know, and especially in the police department. I mean, we need those guys. We need them bad. We need to figure out how are we going to get them to there. Now, it sounds like we do have some surplus money somewhere. I'm not sure what it is. I've been trying to get my arms around that on Friday to see, okay, you had mentioned that we had a bunch of money coming in from the wind farms. I would like to understand a little bit more about that process. How much money does that really mean to us? So, great effort. Totally support rate increases for everybody in the county, not just, you know, the ones that are doing below 30,000. But I think there's some more information that needs to be gathered and presented to the judge so he can, as the CEO, CFO of our county, can make the right decision. So thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate you bringing this forward.
I'm on board with everyone. I think it's an outstanding idea. It needs to be done, looking at the salaries currently. And I would highly encourage the salary committee to take a look at that and see where we can pull from, or like Commissioner Olivares said, you know, there's extra monies coming in that we know. The problem with giving a raise to anyone is once you've given that raise, you're going to have to continue that same amount year after year,
Exactly.
if not increasing raises again, you know. So you want to make sure that the money coming that you have currently, that you'll have that money next year to maintain that raise that was given. But I totally agree that we pay way too low in every department of this county. So
Judge, if I could withdraw my motion, make another motion?
Yeah, certainly, Commissioner.
I'll withdraw my second.
Alternative motion is to, if you would, I'm going to use the word, kick this situation to the salary committee, let them take a hard look at it, and come back to the court with a recommendation. And I agree totally with the money, because we won't know how much money we have till about June-ish, July or so, until we know ad valorem taxes and all. And I totally agree with everybody's comments. I appreciate that, but I think we should let the salary committee take a hard look at this, massage it, and bring it back to us.
That's a great idea.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
I just one more comment.
Yes, sir.
The other piece that I failed to mention is, you know, with the new laws going into place with the homestead exemptions going from 40 to 70,000, there will be some impact on the amount of dollars that we collect into the county. So I just wanted to note that. And I think that's part of the discussion with the salary committee that we talked about.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion?
No.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Commissioner.
Yes,
Beeville.
sir.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate y'all's concern about this.
Thank you, sir. Agenda item number 13, approve Sheriff's Office request for fiscal year 2023 first quarter comp time payout. I shouldn't have put these two agenda items back to back like this.
Move to approve.
I've got a motion.
I'll say.
I've got a motion. and a
The only thing I can
second.
say is, Ronnie, I appreciate the backup, Ronnie.
I
Who
do
had
want to
paid-
say this is
Take your
second quarter. It's a second quarter payout of the fiscal year.
Second quarter.
Second
And
quarter,
I've commented.
because the first quarter, October through December, which we did do, yes, sir.
Okay, so the agenda item is stated incorrectly. We're discussing and considering the second quarter.
Okay,
payout.
I'll revise my motion, make it second quarter payout.
Thank you, Commissioner.
With a comment.
Revise my second.
Okay. This is the most revised seconds.
It is.
that I've had. So I appreciate everybody's flexibility.
Not a problem.
You have the
That's why
floor,
we're here, sir.
Commissioner.
I want to bring back something that I've said before in court. I would like for us to be able to pay overtime with the paycheck when they get it and not have to wait every quarter. And I understand the pitfalls in that, but it's so important to an employee when they work overtime, when they come home and they tell their spouse, darling, I worked 30 hours overtime, we're going to get a good check. And then when the check comes in, the spouse says, well, I thought you were going to get a good check. Oh, we got to wait 3 months. I really would like for the auditor's office to take a hard look at what it would take to start paying that with the salary, with the check. I really would. Surrounding counties do that. The thing that I've heard from folks in surrounding counties, and I'm talking about their chief deputies and people in positions of authority, that's a complaint they hear from people in B County that have to wait 3 months to get their pay. That's the complaint. So that's my comment, Judge.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I have a comment, Judge.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
Commissioner.
just to follow up on Commissioner DeWitt, I too trying to gather a much broader understanding of the mechanics of comp time versus the overtime rate and what are the differences. And apparently this has been in place for quite a number of years. I just don't know why it hasn't changed over to that. And I'm sure there's reasons for that. So I'd like to gain a better understanding and knowledge on, what's the right way to go to support these people. I haven't got that yet, but I guess the best person to deal with would be HR, I guess, or Madam Auditor, I guess, if you can help me or guide me here in some direction, what's the differences and what can we do?
Yeah, well, it's of course budget, it's dollars, that's what it boils down to, everything boils down to that. And it is a large amount that we would have to budget in there, and yes, I do believe that we are going to talk about it this budget cycle.
I guess the other piece, Judge, just help me, there's also a policy component to this as well, I would think, somewhere along the line.
Well, just in general, when B County came up with and moved to a comp time procedure, and I think in every year that I've been on the court, the goal has been to try to maintain the same treatment for every employee in the county's comp time efforts. And for many of our departments, if somebody in my office, if Dolores is working a little bit more this month, she'll have the flexibility to take a little bit more time off, maybe on a Friday or a Monday, and get some benefit for comp time, not impact her work duties, and draw down on the comp time that she's built up by working. The simple reality of our sheriff's office and jail employment issue is that their employees, as a result of many issues, and I don't mean to step on your toes, Sheriff, I think I'm saying this pretty correctly, so I'm going to go pretty general. But generally speaking, as a result of myriad other issues, just providing full staffing at the sheriff's office level for deputies on the street, patrolling and taking care of our citizens, as well as jailers and administrators handling both of those incredibly important functions of the county, require these employees to work overtime because there's not enough employees, physical bodies present, so that they don't have to accrue that additional time during their pay period. And so there's no way in the sheriff's office and the jail for certain employees to ever really draw down that comp time. And so what we really, and I think that's really what the county is going to have to come to terms with, is that the employees that are directly in my office, their comp time situation is fundamentally different than the employees that Sheriff Southmay is trying to manage and budget for. So that's just
great explanation, and you're right. I've been in a situation before too where people are making the overtime, but boy, they would sure love a day off to spend with their family and do other things without having an impact on the overall income. So I totally agree with you with that scenario. Thanks for explaining that, Sheriff.
Yes, sir.
Well, when we do get back into looking at it, we need to go back historically and see what overtime pay was and what the pitfalls were and why it did or didn't work or why they changed.
I'll tell you what, I've been on the court a while, and I don't remember us ever paying it right off.
Not, I don't remember either.
Wow, we've been comp time for, yes,
Going on 3 years.
30?
I've been here going on 3 years.
30.
It's always
We've
been
never
comp time.
done it.
We've never done it.
We
Why
just
change
barely put
something
in
that's
holiday
lasted for
pay.
30 years?
We just barely put in holiday pay.
Yeah.
Like, what, 5 months, 5 years ago?
5 years ago on the
Uh-huh.
holiday pay?
Yeah, we just barely put in holiday
Yeah,
pay.
barely.
That was like our little baby step.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
It
tough because
is,
we're
it
like
is.
jumping off into the deep end. And we don't.
And it
We
is,
don't know-
because
we
that's
don't know what it is.
$150,000 that was added to our budget for holiday pay. So, you know, it is all, it is, comes down to dollar and
But
cents.
somehow-
We'll look at it.
All surrounding counties have figured it out.
Everybody's different.
Well, maybe some dialogue now that I know I, as a commissioner here, I can reach out to other counties.
There you go.
I'm gonna take advantage of that, and during these conferences, I have met some great people that actually, they've already contacted me and reaching out to give me that kind of support, so that's good. And for those that's done it, if you're listening out there in TV land, thank you for contacting me, I really appreciate it, I need your help. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Y'all 800-111.
Yeah.
So I'm just still trying to scroll through to the next agenda item. Thank you for the
It's on
backup.
413 page.
You need,
Got a lot of backup
you need
here.
my copy?
No, I got you. All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you. Sheriff Southbank, Chief Deputy Ronnie Jones for bringing this to the court's attention. Moving on, agenda item number 14, approve interlocal agreement between B County and Tynan Water Supply.
Judge, I understand, I know we don't have the agreement, but I would make a motion to approve those agreements pending the approval of the county attorney and the county judge.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? I think we have a presentation.
Yes.
We ought to. Sorry.
Don't
And I
apologize.
apologize in advance too if the stuff is backwards.
do?
I'm a lefty, so everything I put together is always backwards.
Stand correct.
Your math might be
No,
upside down, TV.
no, this is good.
No, this is what she's gonna explain on the.
But your motion is still correct.
Okay.
Because it is still
I think
pending.
this is,
It
It is still
It
pending.
involves this.
I was thinking this looks different. Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
This is not
Natalie, how's it-
final by any stretch of the imagination in terms of
This
the
is
maps.
good.
The maps are not
I'm
final.
sorry.
This is the
Wait a
right
second.
place.
Yeah, what are you?
She's down on the second to the last item.
I know we're on 14 though.
Yeah, we're on 14.
Yeah, we're on 22.
I don't think we're to your item yet, Natalie.
Hold
We're
on,
on
let me.
22.
And of course, all of these are Natalie's
All of
items.
these
All of them.
agenda items.
She's
belong
14
to
through
mine.
19
Okay.
belong to
Okay.
So it's
So
up
MedMod.
to you when you want to hear it, but this may help explain
Well,
some
Yeah,
of
why don't we? Let's, you can go
It's up
ahead and
to
make
you.
make the presentation while
Okay.
we're discussing approving the interlocal agreement. If we can just, can you talk about B County and Tynan Water Supply and then next agenda item?
Sure.
We can do that way and we can kind of break it up.
Stay in order?
Yeah,
Sure.
Tynan first, because that's the one we're on.
Tynan first, yes.
Please.
So, what you see here is basically a very brief summary of the projects that have been discussed as a result of the MITMOD funds for the county. The committee has agreed on all of these. So to address Tynan first, we are looking at some system improvements over in the Tynan water supply, which would address the wastewater treatment plant, and you'll see a list here of the items identified. Clarifier components, a new bar stream, new chlorination system and flow meter, new aeration piping, 10 air diffusers, and really, there's several. Avenue G lift station improvements have several items identified. The Tynan Waters, the WSC water treatment plant improvements will have new chlorination system, Odessa water pumps, and then the meter monitoring equipment, and then also fire hydrants. So total allocated for these activities is $472,200. So the interlocal agreement is required as part of the grant because obviously the county will be utilizing its MITMOD funds to pay for the improvements at that facility for all of these items mentioned. And so it's an interlocal agreement. that will be approved through court here first, then it will also go to the water supply board members, and then they'll have to approve it and pass it, ultimately be signed, and it's just stating that that both parties will, to the best of their extent, work well together, right? Make sure that everybody does what they're supposed to do, compliance measures are upheld and maintained, and that Tynan will not do anything to impede the county's ability to do that. So that you guys are well within your parameters and restrictions of the red tape surrounding the grant implementation rules.
And for the record, the Tynan amount is $472,200.
That is the projected estimate. Yes.
Projected estimate. That's
Projected
double,
estimate.
double stuff there. Projected estimate.
Commissioner?
Yeah.
We forgot to recognize Ms. Aldridge. She's the one that put all these hard numbers and
Yes,
has
she
been
did.
working tirelessly
Okay.
to put these numbers together for the court so we could have something to look at.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Aldridge, thank you so much for getting out there. I know
Thanks, Anna.
that was difficult to get all these numbers put together
It was.
for the court.
Yes.
So thank you so much, ma'am.
As well as the
Thank you, Commissioner.
the maps.
Yes, the
Yes,
maps
as
As
also.
well
well
as the
as the maps.
exhibits.
Awesome.
We have the exhibits as
Thank you,
well.
Commissioner. Thank you, Anna, for being
So-
here today.
So
If you have
the,
any nitty-gritty technical questions,
She's the lady.
ask Patty.
don't ask.
That'll probably come
We'll
from,
both point fingers at each other.
There you go.
No, but, yes, Commissioner DeWitt, these are just estimates. So of course, we won't know actual hard costs until we get into project
Right.
implementation, which won't happen for some time to come still. But these are higher estimates. We always allow for contingency to the best of our ability. That's something that's recommended. And the reason is because you just never know what's going to happen when you get into project implementation phase. And right now, the inflation is insane. Everything's going up. Things are on back order. So the reality is, we have to put an upcharge on everything. Contingency is everything, and our ability to make sure when we get down to the wire, actual meets practicality. So
Good.
there we go.
Good job.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 15, I'm realizing now it might have made more sense to just move the agenda 22 up in front of these, but we'll just press on, and if there's anything...
Would you like to?
No, because then we can catch that, we'll have that agenda at the end, we can catch it as a bucket if there's anything else that we need to discuss.
Okay, sure.
So moving on to agenda item number 15, approve interlocal agreement between B County and Pettis Municipal Utility District.
Move to approve pending the approval of the county attorney and county judge.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. We have a little presentation on
Sure.
Pettis.
So just our total estimates for Pettis mud system improvements are totaling out at $1,527,000, and that would produce a new water well and backup generator. Water well number 3 requires a backup emergency generator as well with some controls, so improvements will be made there. And lift station number 1 improvements will consist of new pumps, another emergency backup generator, along with controls.
Could I
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the floor.
On this one here, I know there wasn't a lot of noise made on this one because I believe Ms. Aldridge and Natalie already had enough information as far as the surveys and what have you. If you look on your map, they had already had previous information versus Silver Creek and 631. So they put the ones that they didn't have information and put those at the top of the list to get that information in. But Tynan and Pettis had a lot of information that they could use already. So that helped them a whole
Because of
lot.
the grants that
Right, with
we've
the
already
grants.
And
had.
Judge, I'll cover that again on your item number 22, so I can kind of go over how all these fit in within a parameter of what the survey requirements are for this grant, what the LMI requirements are for this grant, and where they all individually sit in together, so that you understand it as a whole, unless you want me to go into that now.
No, I'm looking forward to that discussion on agenda item number 20.
Okay.
But all this item on the Pettis mud, Jesse did come in and really helped all of us explain to it what they're in, what dire straits they're in over there, and
That's great.
what they needed, and then we projected forward, trying to get the, just move ahead, 10 moves ahead, what would be the best thing for the Pettis, right?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on, agenda item number 16, approve amended procurement and procedures for B County to be compliant under the Community Development Block Grant Program.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion?
Yes. So this, I've just received the policies, and so pending, you know, what we already have in place and merging them, I just want to make sure that, you know, y'all know that I need to review them and make sure we're not being redundant.
So maybe we're looking, maybe the appropriate step would be consideration of Commissioner Fadias on an amended motion to approve subject to,
Pending review.
yeah, by you and
I'll
sign
amend my
off
motion.
by the county.
Yes, because
attorney as
they
well.
do have to be in place, but we just don't want, you know, a bunch of policies that are maybe already there, but we just need to review them a little bit better.
Is that good?
Yes, so we did
Guidance,
discuss it, yes, and as April mentioned, there are some requirements of the grant. Well, these two documents are required by the grant, but a lot of these policies are already in place, like April mentioned. And so, to what Ms. Matthews said, we just want to make sure that if there's something that's already in place, whatever's not in place, we can graft over into the current policy so that a whole brand new policy isn't being, you know, adopted by the county when one's already in existence. But
I'm
it would-
comfortable with that process. Is everybody on the Commissioner's Court comfortable with that
Absolutely.
process? Yeah.
I'll amend my motion to fulfill any obligations that need to be fulfilled for those contracts pending county attorney and judge for this one, for this item.
Ms. Cantu, you'll get to review all that.
For sure.
And then we'll just
Mhm.
run
Yes.
it up the flagpole and we'll be good. We'll proceed. We already have
Thank you.
approval.
Yes, thank you all very much.
And
I will
Thank you.
second.
amend my second to reflect the amended motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Lenny. You're getting good at that.
I know, that was good.
Smoothly.
He's got it written down.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you,
Get
gentlemen.
a lot of practice.
Agenda item number 18, approve the adoption of a citizen participation plan for B County under the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Method of Distribution Grant, CDBG, CDBG-MIT-MOD. Add a little bit of
Move to
extra
approve, I'm
English.
sure this is something we have to do anyway.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. That's my understanding as well.
That is correct.
Any discussion on this at all?
No.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 19, approve authorization of the Grant Administration Services Contract and Engineering Services Contract for the Community Development Block Grant Regional Mitigation Council of Governments Method of Distribution Grant, CDBG MITCOG MOD. MOUSE for B County.
Move to approve.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception.
Judge, you missed 17. I think you got them because they're both policies.
Oh, you're
So both
right.
16
Thank
and
you. Thank
17.
you. Yeah, I did. I just jumped right over it.
To 18, yes, sir.
Good.
Yeah, because they're both, and it's the same situation, the financial and the procurement.
So, agenda item number 17, approve. I think that's where there's this little oil spot from the deck.
Good say.
Agenda item number 17, approve amended financial policies for B County to be compliant under the Community Development Block Grant Program.
So moved.
So
I've got 4 motions to approve in 4 seconds. I have a motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion?
16.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes without exception. Thank you, Mrs. Cantu, for catching that. Agenda item number 20, introduction of county coordinator, Randy Shower.
Did we do 19?
We didn't do 19.
Yeah, you missed 19.
missed
But you were
19.
on 19. You were about to do 19.
No, we did 19.
The MOUSE.
Y'all did 18.
You'll do, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We voted on 19.
We did.
I could, yeah, because I read out that list of.
Okay. Yeah, but there's
I-
lists on both of them, both 18 and 19.
Yes, but 19 has the
Okay.
addition of COG. So I said
Okay.
CDBG,
Okay, well, I don't know, just
MIT,
because
COG,
our-
MOD, MOUSE, before B County.
Yeah, you did say that.
And then all four of the commissioners immediately made a motion to approve, and then all four of them immediately made a motion to second.
Okay, as long as our minute taker
Did you get
has
the-
her
do we
notes.
Do we need to
That's
do it
it.
again? Let's do it again.
Did
This
you
time.
catch-
18, I didn't get 18.
Okay, so we're gonna move, wait.
18?
You didn't get
I didn't
18?
get
No,
18.
we still-
No, you see,
Okay,
17
all
and
right,
then
all right.
18.
Get your
I know we
paper
did
to,
that one.
I know, it's okay, we'll get,
Not a problem. We're
Yeah,
getting a
I don't know if
minute.
we're lost or what.
it's okay. I'm gonna recall agenda item number 18.
Yes.
The weather.
Approve the adoption of a citizen participation plan for B County under the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Method of Distribution Grant, CDBG, MIT, MOD.
Move to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Thank you, gentlemen. And I'm going to recall agenda item number 19, approve authorization of the Grant Administration Services Contract and Engineering Services Contract for the Community Development Block Grant Regional Mitigation Council of Governments Method of Distribution Grant, CDBG, MIT, COG, MOD, for B County.
Move to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes without exception. Now we've got it voted on and approved.
Up to that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Now, I'm going to recall agenda item number 20, introduction of County Coordinator Randy Schauer. Ms. Schauer, I'm sorry that we've taken a little bit of your thunder. I saw earlier you raised your hand. Do you have any presentation or?
No, I just want to say hi, and I'll be the point of contact for county.
Okay.
And explain to us what county coordinator is.
I'll be the one to kind of. I'll
Identify
just be the
yourself.
one. I'm Randy Schauer, county coordinator. Randy Schauer, county coordinator. I'll also be working with 4-H kids still, so I'm the 4-H coordinator as well as the county coordinator. Landon is also a 4-H coordinator, so we share that responsibility. But as far as county coordinator, I'll be the one to kind of go over budgets, see what we need, and kind of promote countywide things.
Okay. And this is a role that you're assuming from Landon?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck to you and thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions for Mrs. Schauer? No? All right. Moving on, agenda item number 21, approve code enforcement officer's request to use county credit card for the 2023 Coastal Bend Hurricane Conference, May 3 and 4 in Robstown, Texas.
Move to, I'll second. I got a question.
Well,
I've
I'd
got-
like him to come up and explain
Yeah.
exactly what it is that
And
this is and
What it's for?
Okay, I've got a motion and a second and a request from Commissioners Court that Officer Guerrero come up and explain what it is he wants to
come explain yourself,
Purchase
sir.
with a
Get-
credit card.
out of this conference.
Robert Guerrero, Code Enforcement, or Environmental Officer for the county. The Hurricane Conference is something that I've missed throughout the years, and Coastal Bend COG would like me to attend this. It's also going to help out with myself being out with emergency management out at the expo. So it's a conference that I've been wanting to do. I missed it last year, and I'd like to attend it this year.
And is the use of the credit card to pay for the conference admittance fee, pay for?
Yes, it pays for the admittance fee, for lunch, for meal, everything.
How much is it?
$40.
$40?
$40
Each day or total?
total.
Total.
I think we can probably handle that, Judge.
They're kind of expensive.
Yeah, tell me.
Did you have a spreadsheet or any itemization of your expected?
Yeah, did you itemize all this stuff for us?
Happy Meal.
Now,
You have it on-
in all honesty, that's your registration cost?
Yes, sir.
Be sure and bring back a receipt for the auditor's office,
Yes, sir.
please.
No problem.
Well done, thank you,
Thank you.
Officer Guerrero, for your, are there any more questions?
Oh, thank you.
Hearing none, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passes
Thank
without
you.
exception. Yeah, I like this, kind of like a little break. Now, there you are. You
Yes,
moved.
I'm here.
Agenda item number 22, Hurricane Harvey, Texas General Land Office, GLO Community Development Block Grant, CDBG status and project update. You have the floor, ma'am.
Hi there, again, everybody. Okay, so I've handed out the handouts, which again, I'm Natalie with GrantWorks, Natalie Gonzalez with GrantWorks. Your hired grant administrator for this particular fund. So, let me make this so that I can read what I'm telling everybody. Okay. So as part of the grant funds, the total grant funds that the county is receiving are the $701,600. One of the requirements of the grant is that a portion of those funds be spent benefiting persons of low to moderate income that are 51% or more for the area median income amounts. Basically, the county, this is per General Land Office's percentage, the county has to spend at least 41.87% of its total allocated funds benefiting low to moderate income persons. That comes out to $1,968,500, and it's on here for your record. As a result of that, the only way to determine that information is by having census data for block groups that are benefiting from a project scope area, or survey data. Now, by survey, I mean door-to-door actual income surveys being taken to gather income information of every single household. So what GrantWorks already has for B County on record is we already have income surveys that we've taken in Tynan to benefit the whole Tynan water supply service area. And we've also done this in Pettus. When we conduct these surveys, they are typically good for approximately 5 years. Because within the last 5 years, we took surveys in those two areas. It's not something we have to do again, which means we already know that those areas qualify as 51% or more LMI. So that's not our concern. Our concerns then become, we need to check out FM 631 Bridge area, which is one of the identified projects, and we've got to look at the Silver Creek Bridge area, which is another identified project. We've already conducted our surveys in those areas. The Silver Bridge area actually qualified for LMI, which we really weren't sure that those two were going to. So, yes, we weren't sure that the bridge areas were going to qualify, but the Silver Creek did. FM 631 did not.
Did not.
Just backwards what I would have thought. Just backwards.
See, and this is where most of the time it took to get everybody out there to check out, because they already had information north and information south.
Gotcha.
So what this story tells us is, originally, we were banking on our Pettus and our Tynan estimates to give us that 1.9 million we know we have to spend on LMI. Now we have a little more cushion with the Silver Creek, putting us at $2,649,000 is being spent on an LMI benefiting population. Okay, so we're at 56.34 of your funds for the county are going to serve an LMI population, whereas the others will just be considered a non-LMI population, which will be your FM 631 project at the 1.166. So, all to say, grant is due May 22nd. Now that we've got survey data completed, you have some drafts of, courtesy of Anna Aldridge with Hanson Engineering, you have some draft maps of the actual sites, and you have a draft budget as well for each individual activity and the projected work to take place. These are not finals, but this is just for you to know and be aware and ask any questions. GrantWorks will be working like crazy to get this application fully written and make sure that all the necessary, which a lot of the items that you have passed and approved today in court are things that we need for the grant. So we will be pulling the grant together, begin writing it. The grant is due May 22nd. GrantWorks has an internal deadline of, I believe it's around May 15th, 16th, somewhere in there. That's our internal deadline because we conduct internal self-reviews to make sure that we haven't left something out or something shouldn't be changed. So that's just sort of our, and it goes through a round of 2 reviews. So we'll be working on that over the next couple of weeks.
Is there anything you're gonna need from this court to help you?
You did it.
We
We've
just,
done it
Same
today.
thing you were gonna ask.
all of these
No,
line,
no,
all
my-
of these agenda items.
Yes.
My question was, Aldrich, on, I noticed it on 631, 4 items were listed. And then I noticed on Tynan, I mean, you got detail, clarifier, bar screen, I mean, you got lots of detail. Is that gonna hold us back any on the other projects, if they don't have as much detail on one as they do on the other, or?
No.
No?
You're
Okay.
And when we send it into the state, actually I have, we break it down a little bit more. On the bridges, they aren't as detailed as the water supply quotes, because, you know, we know how many diffusers, and we know how many pumps, and we know how many different parts, whereas on the bridges, the crossings, until we actually get into design, right now we're estimating we have X number, we have so many culverts, and we have so many feet or so many cubic yards of excavation. That may change a little bit after we get surveys in, and we can actually do a little more hydraulic analysis of the water going through. So that's why we leave those a little more general in description, because, you know, we may end up going with 5 culverts instead of 4, or something like that.
Okay.
So that's why it's not as detailed, but the ones that we'll send in will be more detailed than the ones that you're looking at.
I know
That have the
Pettis
drawing.
Mud had some big items, so is there gonna be more detail on some of
Yes.
the?
Yes, we've and described what's involved with putting the new pumps into the lift station. The stainless steel rails and the hoist and things like that. And what's involved with the new water well, the drilling and installation of the pump and the well heads and the casings and things like, and the control panels, and all that are listed out on the final one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Go ahead.
No, go
Mr.
ahead.
Gonzalez, just a question.
Okay, thank you.
yes.
Go ahead.
No, go
Mr.
ahead.
Gonzalez, just a question. I didn't want to get my phone and start adding these numbers up. The total allocation is 4.7 million. With the fee to Grant Works, the engineering fee, and this, does that allocate all the money?
That will cover it up, yes, sir.
So if something comes in over, we'll take appropriate action when that happens.
Over, what do you mean?
If we go out and these bids are.
When the bids come in above what was
Yes, ma'am.
anticipated? So that's a good question, and I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to address it. So, like Ms. Aldrich said, we haven't done any H&H studies
Right.
or surveys. So these are all estimates based on what the engineers anticipate the work to entail. Now, as you've brought up, so when we get into estimating, if something comes in higher than it should be, there may be a point where upon implementation or during implementation, certain things may need to be removed. It's always easier to take something out than it is to add something
Yes.
in. And so what we've done is take into consideration that right there. So we've put enough into the scope of work that's being projected. So if something must be removed, that can be done versus having to try to get clearance to add something. GLO is not big on amendments. They don't like amendments, and they don't like adding stuff. TDA is a lot easier than GLO to do that. Part of that reason is the environmental side of everything. So whatever we submit in the project scope of work it becomes essentially the performance statement or scope of work that GLO will receive and look at and say, these must go through environmental clearance, and we've got to make sure that these are sound. So, and so we want to make sure that we get as much ground covered as we can, then we can remove it if we need to. So that's why also too, it's draft mode, and even when we submit it, it's still in theory draft because we won't really know. I mean, this is what we're headed for, and we're going to try to do all of that, but it may not work to where we can do every single one of those items. And typically, when they start carving away, they'll recommend the things that are the lowest costly things. so that you don't want to go after your big ticket item, right? You're not going to chop away at that water well first. You're going to try to go, inch by bit if you need to, and hopefully we don't need to, but that's just the reality of, yes, the date where we're at today.
But you've already got adjusted costs for inflation and availability, correct?
That's true.
Yes,
He's already built that into
yeah.
the model.
I understand.
Okay.
Because we
I know-
can't put
I
on
know
line items.
what we're getting into with some of our bids that we're going out for right now.
Availability.
And that's correct. I mean, even we're seeing that, where even with inflation being considered as part of the estimates, there are certain things where you just can't account for the exuberance. I mean, it's just been absolutely insane. So they're doing the best they can as engineers, but sometimes it's just coming back way more than what they even anticipated inflation to be.
Sure.
So, but that is something that's been taken into consideration. The other thing I was going to highlight is that once these are submitted, this is not like a FEMA grant where they ask you, what's your top priority project and what's yours? This is not that way. This is literally an allocation where they're saying it's not competitive. This is how much you have. You need to spend it. We want to know what you're going to spend it on. These are the things B County is elected to spend it on. There's no one item that's a priority over the other. They're all equally being submitted as activities the county said they're going to act on, which is a good thing because we're not looking to wait for a priority acceptance on one versus another, which FEMA does do that. So,
Can you talk a little bit about the Silver Creek
Sure.
Bridge project? And it's just something that's been coming up before Commissioners Court for 18 months
Sure.
now.
Anna, do you want to address the proposed activities in a little bit more detail?
So both Anna Aldridge, Hanson Professional Services, your selected engineer. So both the Silver Creek and the 631 are basically kind of low water crossings right now. Those roads both flood out. They typically, both of them have a different form of concrete culverts, box culverts. Well, one's a box culvert and one are great big round galvanized corrugated metal culverts set in concrete. And the channels there are overgrown. You've got trees and debris and everything else, and the side slopes are all overgrown. So what we're going to look at doing, the first thing we're going to do is analyze H&H, hydrology and hydraulic study, to figure out how much water we have going through that area in the most recent flood events and how fast it's going. That's the first thing we need to figure out, is what we're dealing with. And then from there we'll figure out if we can go in with some box culverts to better handle the flow, if we can do some channel regrading in that area to address some of the flow issues, to get the water past the road a little better. And if we can raise the road at all to accommodate certain flood events. We don't know for certain how high we can go. We don't know for certain how much water we need to address until we actually get in and do some of the design. But what I have cost estimated here are concrete box culverts, just so that we have something that we can put a cost figure on. And as far as the Silver Creek goes, there may be a type of bridge structure that we can put in instead of culverts that may work better. That's the one that has that walking bridge that's really high up in the air, and so that one would be an area where we're looking at raising the elevation of the road, but we're going to have to see how much room we have to deal with, if we can do all that within the existing right-of-way, if we need to do something different with the height of the road, if we're going to need more right-of-way in that area. At this point, we're not sure. We need to get in and do a little design analysis. Does that answer the question more about what we're looking at doing? It answered it for me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, just another one, just to follow up, and I know, we've worked a little bit
Oh, yeah.
behind the scenes, but
Yes, sir.
the 650, is that, you feel comfortable with that number to do all these things?
Right now, yes.
Okay.
And if we may need to borrow a little bit from the 631. We're not sure how much it's going to be right now. Based on the numbers, the engineers looking at it, they gave me a number and I added some contingency onto it. So we're comfortable right now unless we get in and find out we have a lot more water than we anticipated. But for now, we think that's a good number.
And Natalie, I guess a question for you, is there an issue with us borrowing money from 631? We can move money around without going through it?
As long as we don't get into where we start creating thanks Anna, until we get, as long as we don't get into a situation where we start creating a detriment to that project as
Gotcha.
a standalone activity,
Okay.
which is something that our team, as long as Anna's team, will work simultaneously on. Those are discussions and conversations that both teams will have if that situation arises.
Okay.
Something that we looked at when we initially began to develop the scopes of work along with the committee members is, we invited GrantWorks' FEMA team and our environmental specialist team so that we could look at where the floodways and floodplains are identified throughout the county, because we know that the county has them in very, I'll say random pocketed places throughout the county. So we wanted to make sure we weren't going to run into any issues. And so these particular bridges, even though they're bridges, they're not sitting in floodways. So we're not looking at that as an issue at all, which makes me feel a lot better moving forward about the proposed work and activities. So we did our best, all of us in the committee, to identify everything as wholly as possible, so.
In a very short.
Court members, if I could, we've worked with Ms. Gonzalez on several projects in the past, and I personally feel very comfortable having her holding the reins on this, and Ms. Aldridge holding the reins. I feel very comfortable with y'all, and I applaud the work that y'all have done. I really do.
And your team members as well. because I
Yes.
know Y'all
Oh,
brought in
yes,
a lot of
and
people
they've done a
to
lot.
help with that.
Yes.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions?
No,
Any other?
I guess just to the court, I hope, Commissioner, this helped identify some of the work that's been going in the background and bring you up
It
to
does.
speed.
It clarifies a lot of things, and I feel very comfortable with it. Very comfortable.
Okay, all right, excellent. Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Ms. Aldridge. Moving on to agenda item number 23, American Rescue Plan, ARP status and projects. Any update, Commissioner DeWitt?
Yes, sir. We have some, let's call it good news.
All right, good news is good.
We've gotten what we feel is a good estimate on the EOC building at the Coliseum, so we're able to free up some of the other money.
Okay.
The estimate we got was 1.3 million, so we're saying 1.5 just to put a little extra caution in there, which frees up quite a bit of funds for the other projects and the priorities that we had. And we're going to be having an ARP meeting immediately after this to discuss it. I know that part of it, and they were ready to go, the repeaters for the sheriff's office that's going to be able to be funded, and several other items that we had on the list. Commissioner, have you got some things you'd like to add?
I did have a meeting with Mr. Mercer after our last Commissioners Court session, and we basically went over some fine tuning of the plans as to where you want electrical outlets and TV mounts and things that they need to look at instead of having the building built and they go, man, I wish we would have done something here on this wall. So just trying to take a really closer look at all the fine-tuned things that need to be done. Mr. Mercer did say that he was really hoping for this court day today to come and present, but he was looking at maybe, if at any possible, it depends on where he's at on it, maybe next week. He was thinking maybe getting with you, Judge, if we might have to call a special call to him to come and present. The purpose is he wants to get this out for bid as quickly as possible because it has to be a 30-day deal out for bid before we can get started. So if not, it'll be May 8th before he can come and present to us. He should have the finalized plans with all the fine tuning done in it at that time.
Okay.
Is there anything that y'all would have that would be before May 8th that we would need to call a special session or not? Natalie?
I'm so sorry.
Anything that y'all might have that, we're talking about May 8th is our next meeting?
No, sir. Thank you for asking. No, as far as the MIT-MOD goes, we don't have anything that we'll do.
Other than with the sewage only, yeah, no.
With the sewage.
Well, the sewer line runs right through there, they're gonna tap into that.
And they, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, they told us they were gonna do that at no charge to the, as part of their contribution, at no charge to the county.
Do we
We'll
know
see.
for sure that they're not? Okay, because at first they said that they were, they
They're
would
considering it,
consider
right.
being
I
involved,
never
but
heard a
have
concrete yes or
they
no.
been reached out to? Is my concern. I'm
Well, when I
not sure
talked
if
to
they've
Mercer
been.
last, we were
Okay.
out there looking at the power situation,
Uh-huh.
and he made a comment that, you know, okay, the sewer line runs right here, because I asked him about that. And he acted like that he already got in contact with the city on all that stuff, so,
No, I feel it's.
all that stuff, so,
No, I feel it would be our responsibility to ask, maybe Mr. Garza, since he's the city/county employee, to ask
When we were-
what they're gonna contribute towards his building, his
Touch
office.
base with John
And
Benson.
to follow up on that, they probably should be invited to that meeting when we're going over the finals.
I invited him when we were having it at the Langley building the first time, and then we figured out we couldn't do it, they were too small. John Chen and John Benson were both here because they were on board with, and they had even presented it to their council. If you look back on their minutes, to contribute to our EOC, they pay half
right.
already.
Of
So-
his department.
But they haven't been part of the.
They were the very first one when it was gonna be over here, and then
But I don't think we've included them putting the plans together or anything.
Yeah.
Not that I know of, because I haven't even been in it on those meetings. It's,
Where we all on the next meeting, most commercial, yeah.
When we get with Mr. Mercer and see where he is, whether he's gonna have something ready for next week, or whether he's gonna still come on the 8th of May and present it at that time.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know.
And I think we ought to be sure that the Hurricane Harvey and ARP is on each agenda as we do.
Question for Commissioner. I've been approached by Skidmore Water and Skidmore Fire Department. They have some additional items that they would like to submit for,
ARP money?
yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's the process that you would like to see done?
They need to get with Jennifer
Okay,
and get that information to her, and she'll bring it to the committee.
okay. All right.
She's our point of the spear and our clearinghouse.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure we're following the right process.
Yes, absolutely. And Ms. Reyes Ms. Randy does a good job.
Anything else on agenda item number 23?
As far as the hydrocyclones, we had mentioned those earlier. We have received nothing from Tynan, and I believe the ball was back in their court to get us
Numbers. We needed numbers. They're on the
Well, when
list.
they brought it to court, remember when they said it's about $10,000 per cyclone, and that's when
Right.
we agreed to go ahead and grant 2.
Well, and there was question about the material used, I believe,
the
Last year
Commissioner.
it wasn't
Steel
approved
versus
by,
the plastic.
EPA, but I think we determined it's an emergency, get it done.
And they
Evidently, it
just
wasn't
went,
quite as emergency as we thought.
no, because they just let the ball drop, and we need them to come. I mean, it's not us, it's not our project, it's
I
theirs.
spoke to
Yeah,
them last
we
week.
So,
admitted to.
That's where it stayed, is finding the material, if TCEQ was okay with them going with that, with that different material. So that's where I knew that was.
I believe so, because I believe even Angela with our Grant Works team has reached out to them as well, and she didn't get any
Right.
answers.
Because we had
That's
a
the
passionate gentleman come and tell us, this is, we got to have this,
That was before the beginning of the year.
Exactly, that was months ago.
So,
And so it's
how
just
much of
been
an
radio
emergency was it?
silence.
No, they didn't include it.
Anyway,
I'll reach out, Jennifer, and have them contact you with that information.
What was the man that came?
The gentleman's name?
The man that came with.
He's the one that's in
Steve
charge.
Cheney.
I believe, yes, because it's only him and Opie
Right.
that are there, yeah.
Yeah, good point. Anything else? Okay, moving forward, we have no executive session items this afternoon. Let's move on to agenda item number 24, adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion to adjourn and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all for your time.